All right,
Okay, so we're Team Project 2, and our team name is World Class Computer Scientists. And I am one of the team members, as you can see, Sandesh Pokhrel. And I'm from Nepal, and I did my master's in English for my undergrad, and now I'm here studying CS for master's. So yeah, now on to Robert.
I'm Robert. I got my undergraduate from University of Missouri in computer science, and I've come back to get a master's degree in applied computer science. We lived in Columbia for about 10 years, and we moved to Jackson in 2001. And I worked at the university for a while, and then I worked at St. Francis Medical Center, and now I work at the Southeast Hospital.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Hi. I'm Vishnuvardhan Ravi. I'm from India. I have done my undergraduate in Bachelor of Commerce, research with the computers. Now I'm here to do my master's in applied computer science. This is my first semester. I'm new to the United States. Yeah, you can
Nice.
start writing down.
Okay, so let's move on towards the introduction and of the project itself. So what we're doing with the project is installing FTP server on Ubuntu, and then like making sure we can download, upload things from FTP server through the command line. And then we're also connecting to Ubuntu via SSH by using a different operating system. And then we're gonna reinstall the Apache on Ubuntu as our web server. And then lastly, we created a team website with our pictures and information on it, so we can introduce ourselves through the website that we created. So, and now we can talk about the setting up server for Ubuntu part. Okay, so like what you do for installing FTP is like you use the command sudo apt-get install bsftpd in your terminal, and the installation process will begin after that. And you can just move in right away and then like start to operate the FTP server. What you're gonna have to do is like edit the configuration file according to your need, so you can connect to the FTP in different scenarios. So like what you want to do before you start configuring the file is like you want to create a original configuration file, and then to edit the new configuration file according to your need, what you're going to have to do is like type in sudo nano etc vs ftpd.configuration. And then as you can see in the screenshot that I've taken here, that my configuration file allows me to like attempt to connect with FTP. So like you can use something similar, and like you can tweak everything in here according to what you need. And then what you want to do is like make sure the firewall doesn't block the FTP. And for that, what you have to do is sudo ufw allow from any to any port, and then like use the number 20, 21, 10,000 and 10,100 proto TCP, and then it will allow FTP traffic through firewall. So like once you're done with that, what you want to do is like create your account, create your password, use sudo user add -m FTP user for the username, and then sudo password FTP user for the password. So once you've all set the account, like done all the logins and everything, I mean like set up the username, set up the password, what you want to do is like connect to FTP through FTP 127.0.0.1, which will ask for your username and your password, and make sure you have the correct username and password, and then like you have access to the FTP server. And you can look at the contents of the server itself by using the command ls. So you can use that to access the content. As you can see in the screenshot, I've connected to 127.0.01, and then the login was successful. And once you have the FTP server ready, you want to move on to uploading, downloading files through CLI, because like, what's the use of a server if you won't be like putting files in it? So what you want to do is like use the command put with the address of the file followed by the file name to upload files into the server. So, and then once you're done, you want to make sure the file has uploaded. So you want to make sure you use the command ls and then like check the content to make sure the file has uploaded. In the example here, you can see how I'm using the address of whatever.odt file, and then like using that command to upload the ODT file. And yeah, so like that's the command for uploading. And now we got downloading. So like what I did was uploaded the file whatever.odt to the server. And here what I'm doing is downloading the file by using the command get. So like downloading is way easier compared to uploading, because all you're doing is like downloading the content of the server without having to give an address, just like you did, just like we had to do with the uploading part. And yeah, that's about it for downloading. Okay,
You're
so
muted,
on
Vishnu.
to, oh yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right.
You're good.
Yeah, coming to this part, when we have installed all the Ubuntu and FTP server, we have to connect that via SSH, that's right. Then we have to use the command of ifconfig. First of all, we have to know that the IP address of this one to connect via SSH. For that, to know what's the IP address of our Ubuntu, we have to use the command ifconfig. Then that will run and shows like the screenshot, that is 192.168.1.228. With that, with this one IP address, we will connect via SSH. By the next slide, I will show. This is my Windows command prompt. In our Windows command prompt, we have to use the command SSH space what's our Ubuntu server name. That means I have put my Ubuntu server name as Vishnu @ what's the IP server we got from the past slide, that is with the ifconfig command, that is 192.168.1.228. That will ask for our password of Ubuntu. Then we have to give that password. That will show like this screenshot, and then that will work with our Windows command prompt with that Ubuntu terminal. That means the first one is my Windows admin name, and then @ Vishnu is my Ubuntu host name. Then that will coming to the link with the green signal that will go into the virtual box, and then we have to know whether it is connected or not. That will shows my admin name, like who am I with that. Continuing with next, we have to install our next task is our installing web server on our Ubuntu Linux. For that one, we have to type the command of first of all, we have to update our Ubuntu. Then we have to install that Apache software. So for that one, we have to run the command sudo apt update first, and then we have to run the command of sudo apt install Apache 2 to install that Apache software version. For that one, when we have done with that Apache version, we have to know what's the version we have installed in our Ubuntu. For that, we have to run the command Apache 2/version to know the version of the Apache what we have already built, and when the time and the date when we built that one in our Ubuntu. You can slide. We can see the slide here. That is the screenshot of my Ubuntu screen, and then this is the time when I installed this just last night. Then we have to know the what's the list in our that application, available applications. For that, we have to use that command sudo ufw app list. That was like ls command that will shows that will display the available applications in this one. We after that we have to allow the Apache to all the applications access and all the things. So for that one we have to run the command sudo ufw allow with the slash with the available of Apache. Then the rules of all the things will be updated or not, that will be show like this one. Then we will know the status of that Apache NetBeans with the installed one in the Ubuntu, that is showing like in the screenshot like inactive. To convert that inactive status to the active status, we have to run the command like sudo systemctl status Apache 2. Then that will run like that my terminal screenshot. Then we can see here the status is active and running. Then after we will open with this previous slide, we get that active is running. We have to know whether it is running in our web server or not. For that one, we have to open our terminals web server, Ubuntu web server. Usually all Ubuntu web servers having Mozilla Firefox. We just type in the search bar that just local host, that will directly display our Ubuntu default page. What actually all the person like it works. There's the thing here. Yeah, coming slides will accumulate them. Robert. Yep.
Yeah, now that you have your web server set up and you've tested connectivity, now you can set up your virtual host. In this case, we used rlewizr.net. For each domain that you want, you have to go through these steps. You can have more than one domain running on this web server, but for each one, you have to go through these steps and you have to go through the configuration to make sure that the server knows what domains are running on this server. So first you go through and you do your make directory and you create your www and then your rlewizr.net /HTML. This will basically be your root directory for your website. Once you've done that, you have to go through and you have to change ownership of that directory to the current user. So the current user can write files to that directory. After you've done that, you go through and you give read and execute permissions to everyone. And then it includes write permissions for the current user. After you've done that, you go in and you create your sample page. In the assignment sheet, we had a very basic, welcome to Ubuntu 20.04. We had a very basic page for that. And once you've done that, you go through and you set your net configuration by opening up that file and putting in the information you see in figure 10, where you identify a virtual host running on port 80. You do the server admin, the server name, server alias, and then the document root, which is basically your web root for your web server. And then you designate a space for your error logs and your access logs in case you need to do any troubleshooting or find out who has been accessing it and when and where, that kind of stuff. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so now that you've got that set up, you have to activate that configuration file by running the sudo A2, stands for Apache 2, insight, and then your domain name .config file. You want to disable the default config file. Again, for any domain that you're hosting, you have to do this step for that domain. So you do the sudo A2 DISSITE 000-default.html. That will disable that file. And now you want to restart the Apache server, so it picks up all those configuration changes that you've just made. After that, you can test your configuration by doing the sudo apache 2 ctl config test. You should get a syntax OK message right there. If not, you'll have to track down what errors you might have. There are excellent help documents on the Ubuntu site when you're setting this up. Now you're ready to go into your browser and pull your website up. Now you're ready to go into your browser, pull your website up, but you can see a snapshot of the one that we did there. I'm going to pause recording for a second, guys, and pull up my server, and so everybody can see the commands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so this is running on, this is a server running on my machine. So we're going to demo a couple of the commands for you. I want to show the, oh, don't lock up. There we go. Oh, did I not? Oh, cancel. Nope, don't do that. Oh. Okay, so on the first slide when we presented, this is a configuration file for the FTP component. It has all the settings that we talked about, where and you can customize these as we said earlier in the presentation. You can customize these to whatever settings you need. A lot of people don't go with the default FTP settings like port 21 or port 22 for secure. They'll use an alternate port number because it provides additional security, because not only do you have to know the IP address that you're connecting to, but you got to know the exact port, and then you have to know the user account and the password. So it just adds another layer of security. So you can customize all these settings based on, you know, what you're trying to accomplish with your FTP server. You know, 100 years ago when I first started doing this, there were just a lot of FTP servers that would allow anonymous connections, and so people would use them kind of as just free online storage, because you could just go to that FTP server, throw whatever files you wanted up there, and then just share it with all your friends, and it was just free file sharing for everybody. So that's the basic settings for that. We wanted to, oh, I think I need to check my, okay. Check my IP address. As you can see, there's my IP address listed there.
Mm.
So we're going to try to FTP to that.
Yeah.
I hope I remembered the password. Oh.
Oh.
That always happens to me. Too many passwords to remember.
Well, you try to make them secure, and then you can't get on them yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not going to work. Dang it. All right, one more. Yay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
So obviously I didn't use the default password that they provided in the documentation. So we've successfully logged into our FTP server. From here, you would issue your git command if you're going to download a file from the server to your machine, or the put command if you're going to upload a file from your machine up to the FTP server. I actually have one there. Where was it? I've forgotten now. Is it user? Oh, well, I'm not going to worry about it. But we uploaded the that FTP test file that was used in the documentation, which was a simple, create the file and then FTP it as all of one command step. Let's see, what else do we want to show? We wanted to show the, got to get out of the FTP. Okay, so this is pulling up the live status of the Apache HTTP server. From here, you can see that it's active, it's running, when it was started, the default directories and such, the amount of memory, and I wanted to look at oh, I can't type.
It's all good. We got all the time in the world.
There we go. This was the configuration file for setting up our domain name on the web server. So we set up a virtual host at port 80, which is your standard, HTTP port. We set up the admin, the server name, server alias, the default directory for your documents to go, your HTML document or your CSS file, or whatever files you're trying to put in there. And then we put the directories for the error log and the access log. And then if you go out here to our website for, you can use the IP address. You can also use localhost.
Yeah.
So we've got links to our favorite Ubuntu, which it actually does have quite a lot of good information in there if you're looking for techniques or help commands. We have a link out to like a general document about an FTP server, what it is, how it works.
Right.
And then we also have one for setting up a web server. Now, the web server we set up is what you would call a basic web server, just running HTTP. As we talked about in class, you can see here it has a browser makes a request from the server, and then it gets the response back from the server. Here we're running what they would call a static web server. It's just got static web pages on it. There's no real interaction. You're not putting data in, getting data out, anything like that. Obviously, in today's world, application servers with a database behind it are all over the place, allow for lots of interaction, lots of personalization. And then we've got little links to all of us here that go out to our LinkedIn profiles. Oh,
Cool.
Let's see if I remember this. Don't save. Well, apparently I don't remember it. I was just there today. So, and then we got a little graphic and a little subscribe button down there. So that's our basic website and our presentation. I found it very informative. I had a little trouble setting up the FTP server. I couldn't get my configuration file right. If you don't, when you're saving your configuration file, especially for the web server or for the FTP server, you can save it in the default format is with Unix line end, but you can also save it in a Windows format or a DOS format or a Mac format. So apparently I was saving mine in a Windows form or DOS format, and so my FTP server wouldn't connect because it couldn't interpret the file correctly. But I got that all sorted, so thank God for that.
Yeah. And setting up FTP server is quite difficult indeed. I mean, like, it seems easy when you follow the steps, but like sometimes it just doesn't connect at all.
Well, and I think
Yeah, man.
like so many of us now, like at work, we use them all the time, but you're used to using a GUI interface, you know, like FileZilla or, you know, SC, FTP, or any of the hundreds of FTP products that are out there. So you just kind of plug in your IP and your user, and you just kind of go on. But setting it up from this side where you really needed more technical skills, it took me a minute to kind of think through the process. So I don't know. It was fun. All right, I am going to stop the recording now.